March Hall in Pottsville, the site for Schuylkill League basketball action. We got a good one. D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Al DeCarlo alongside Tom Moser, and doesn't get much better than this when it comes to Schuylkill League action in Pottsville and Blue Mountain. They played earlier in the season, a 30-point win for Pottsville, but you throw that under the table and you say maybe revenge, maybe not, rivalry, all that for a big game tonight.
Great rivalry, but a great venue too, Al. As you mentioned, March Hall, we're here at one of the best venues in all of Pennsylvania. Looking for a great matchup as we get close to playoff time.
Well, let's talk about Blue Mountain under head coach Dustin Wirt. Now in his 17th year at the helm, doing a great job with this team. They were 8-3, 15-4 overall. This is a playoff game for them. They're coming off a win against Tamaqua, but Tamaqua really holds, a little bit of advantage for them, so they have to pull out a victory. Alex Ketch, their go-to player.
Ketch scoring 16 a game, but almost averaging three-point makes per game, 46 made threes in the year. So Coach Mullaney in Pottsville is going to want to run him off the line all night long.
Let's talk about Coach Dave Mullaney. Year in and year out, two-time champions in the Schuylkill League. They won a bunch of championships. He is now in his 13th year. They are 11-0 in league play. They are 15-4 overall. They're coming off an easy win over Panther Valley. Mason Barnes, one of their key players.
So Barnes is one of two Crimson Tide players scoring 16 a game, but he's Mr. Consistency. He does it all inside, outside. He's a team leader, 3 rebounds a game, 80% from the free throw line, just your ultimate leader for Coach Mullaney in Pottsville.
Well, it doesn't get much better than this here at March Hall, high atop, a great location. We'll talk more about the venue throughout, but we expect a good matchup between Blue Mountain and Pottsville. D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine coming up next.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
Hall of Fame pitcher Steve Carlton knows what it takes to exceed expectations. He knows what it means to be part of a team that rises above the competition. He knows a champion. Steve Carlton knows St. Luke's Orthopedic Care.
We are back here at March Hall. Al DeCarlo, Tom Moser. Glad you could join us here for our D11sports.com Game of the Week. Presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Obviously, when we look down on that floor and we look at this venue, Tommy, it's just, extraordinary what you see. And, I've done many, many games here at March Hall, and it's awesome. It's just that, that's just the way to describe it. You get a great view. It doesn't matter where you are. And just fascinated every time I come here. It's a special gymnasium, as you pointed out. There are angles and places all over the gym. You could come to this gym 10 different times and see get a great vantage point in any of those 10 different spots in the gym. And as you also mentioned, how many playoff games have been played here over the years, and the players and the teams that we've seen. And as you said in the opening, we'll get to some of those moments a little bit later. Yeah, there's some big moments indeed. The Blue Mountain Eagles at 8-3, 15-4 overall under head coach Dustin Wirt in his 17th year. And we mentioned the Crimson Tide, 11-0 and 15-4 overall under head coach Dave Mullaney in his 13th year. You look at them and you look at the situation on hand, and we mentioned a playoff type of game is because when we look at the standings a little bit later on, Blue Mountain is a team maybe on the outside looking in, seeing Tamaco's schedule and seeing Pottsville's schedule, and seeing Blue Mountain's schedule the other way. Well, Blue Mountain and Pottsville have been the two most consistent programs in this Schuylkill League for at least 2 decades. And as Coach Wirt told us beforehand, this would be a rarity were they to miss the league tournament this year. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, throughout this contest. Obviously, it was a big difference in the 30-point win the first time around. And, we'll see what happens here, the second time. First, we pause and honor America with the playing of our national anthem. One thing I've always said, when you're the center of attention, this is where you're the center of attention because everyone's looking up towards you in the press box. You're 6'12", it's a 7 foot, and everyone's looking our way, and we're looking towards them. So you gotta, that's always one thing I laugh because the flag is above us, and that's where they're looking. Again, a great matchup between these teams. Expected. We had a chance to see what happens really in the early part of this contest. If there's that opportunity, where you want to build a brand. And when you talk to Dustin Wirt, he wasn't happy after that first game by any means whatsoever. So we'll see what happens here, especially in the early going in this one. Get the opportunity to see our starting lineup for both teams. We'll wait on those. And, one thing, Tom, when we talked about this is and you as a player, you as a coach, when you get beat by 30 points in a rivalry kind of game, and it was only 3 weeks ago, what do you tell your team?
Well, the first thing is if you have good leaders, you don't need anything to be said because they're going to do it for you. And as a matter of fact, we talked about this a few minutes ago. We did a game like this a couple weeks ago, Catasauqua and Salisbury. First time Salisbury beat them by 30, and in that game in the rematch, Catasauqua had a lead until the last minute, and so we saw a totally different outcome. So the players know that they were beaten solidly by this team, and sure, the coach can point it out, but kids know every score and every result, and they're going to be ready to go themselves.
No doubt. As they get ready to make their way onto the floor, and we'll give you a good look at the starting five. And, we talked to Coach Wirt, and he asked him, hey, what's the concern with what player? And he goes, pick your poison. You mentioned the open. Shank does one thing at 6'6", and Barnes does another thing. So, we'll see what happens as we go. The officials tonight, John Sinevis, Mike Peterson, and Nick Molesky are officiating crew, and we are underway from beautiful Martz Hall. It's Pottsville quickly on the attack. Here's Riley Stanton. Ralph DeCello.
So interesting start here. Coach Wirt told us when they played the first time, as you can guess, in a 30-point defeat, they had trouble defending the Tide one-on-one, and he thought maybe they would change some defenses, but he did start man-to-man.
Did start man-to-man, and we'll get the first opportunity at the free throw line for Kevin Shank, a 6'6" senior forward. Your starters are Shank, Barnes, DeCello, Stanton, and Salata for Pottsville. For the Blue Eagles, Kreitz, Lipko, Ketch, Dean, and Carr starting five.
Shank is the other Crimson Tide player alongside Barnes, averaging 16 a game. So let's see if he can get it going tonight.
So Shank with 1 out of 2 free throws as we're underway. The jumper, that one will not fall once and done for Blake Lipko. Nice feed down underneath. So far, 2 possessions down the floor. They have attacked the interior, and both times they have put themselves in a position to be on the field.
Well, complete miscommunication there. If you're Coach Wirt, you saw his reaction on the sideline, not happy as one of his men simply lost track of who he was guarding. And that's just in a game where you are the underdog, you can't afford to give up easy ones like that. And that's also 2 team fouls in the first minute of action.
So 1 of 2 on the free throw. The rebound goes to Aiden Carr. And Pottsville up by a score of 2-0.
And as everybody would expect, man-to-man from Mulaney and the staple, their patented aggressive man-to-man. They make you work for everything you get.
And no question about that. And it really done a great job, winning championships. Nice feed going back door. First basket of the game for Kreitz.
And so we saw this in one of our earlier matchups. When you're being pressured aggressively, you have an option, and your number one option is probably to go back door. And the Eagles utilized it right there for a bucket. And now you see a little 2-3 zone out of Blue Mountain, and it caused a turnover.
I talked to Dustin during the week, and he said, they play lights out. They were hitting from outside. They were, getting some things done. And, when you put up in the 70s, everything's working on a throttle there.
Yeah, especially against a good defensive team. Blue Mountain is no slouch, as we're going to get a moving screen here by Peterson, and I believe that's going to be 2 fouls on Aiden Carr, the 6'4 senior. Coach Word not pleased.
So when we talked to Dustin in the pregame, he said, you need to be, probably pleased, 8-3, 15-4. I've known him a while. He looked and goes, no, we're not. And the reason is, they need to really win this. This is a playoff game. This is a game that they absolutely need.
Well, high standards for Coach Ward and his Blue Mountain program, but that's what, if you're going to strive to be good, you're not just going to be satisfied because your record is a pretty decent record. You want to always strive to be better, and that's what he's trying to instill in his players here.
Barnes from way outside misses on the 3. It's 2-2. 2 minutes in.
So look at how far out Blue Mountain needs to start their offense because of the pressure being applied by Pottsville. One of the keys to the game that Coach Word had said for his squad.
Well, Ketch just hit his 47th three-pointer of the year. That's a long 2, it looks like.
I'll get back to my point in a minute. That almost did look like a 3. As we get our keys of the game thrown on the screen. Defend the three-point line for Coach Word and Blue Mountain, and patience on offense, set good screens.
So the defense right now tenacious here for Blue Mountain.
And as I was getting to say, as we get our keys of the game on the screen, set good screens. That's going to be very important to get your men open, because otherwise you're going to be suffocated by this Pottsville defense.
4-2 here in the early going. Blue Mountain on top. Glad you could join us for our D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Driving baseline, 1-on-3, nothing there. Remains Blue Mountain basketball.
Great help defense right there, causing the deflection. Nowhere to go on the baseline.
They do get it in. Remains 4-2. Still looking for our first basket of the game for the Tide. They have 2 free throws. Over to Caulfield. Nice look underneath. Good feed down to Lipko. Lipko's got 2.
So great seal inside by Lipko. Held his man off and didn't release for the ball until he was ready to go catch it. And as you mentioned, a great entry pass.
Lost the handle. Swinging around. Still have the ball. And that one off the mark. Rebound for Pottsville. Second chances. They'll kick it back out. A wide open look at a 3 for Barnes. And he's going to drop that 90% of the time. His 33rd three-pointer of the year.
Yeah, you cannot give Barnes a wide open look like that, and off of his second chance, those are going to come back to haunt you later on if you're Blue Mountain.
We're at the midway point of quarter number 1. 6-5 Blue Mountain. That ball trickles out. I believe it's they can keep it here with Blue Mountain.
You get a look at the replay here. Long shot produces a long rebound. Shank kicks it out to his running mate in Barnes, who buries a 3.
Well, so far Blue Mountain's attacked the interior, and they will go to the free throw line once again.
Good call right there as Dean cut back door again. Got hacked and will shoot 2.
Jason Dean at the stripe. Misses on the first one. Dean at 56%. Second one is good. 7-5 Blue Mountain. Here are D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. A busy couple days coming up. We will finish this one up and head out to the East Penn Conference for a double dip between Allen and Deerfield tomorrow at 1 and 3 from Deerfield High School. Then on Monday, out to Rockney Hall, Northampton, and Central Catholic. They've had some battles through the years on Monday night.
Some great venues in there, including this one to finish the slate out in the regular season. Coach Wirt, again, changing his defenses. Went with almost a 1-1-3 hybrid zone, and now they're going man-to-man out of bounds. So he's making Coach Mullaney and the Tide think on every possession.
Stepped out of bounds, and that was right in front of Coach Wirt. Speaking of Coach Wirt, talked to his dad just briefly. He was down there hanging out. 15 years for him, 330 wins. He also had 122 wins when he was the girls' coach at Schuylkill Haven. Some championships in the mix, including the 96 team that had his son on it. Count the basket and one for Jason Dean.
And the Eagles at this point are the more energized team. Let's see how Mullaney handles this. Is he going to let his guys play through it? He's got a veteran group. They don't need to be told what's going on here. They don't have it at this point. Let's see how long he goes before changing something up or calling a timeout. But right now, Blue Mountain feeling themselves.
Misses on the three-point play. Blue Mountain still up by a score of 9-5. 4 of 5 from the field so far for Blue Mountain. Dragged that foot just a little bit too much and gets assisted with the traveling call.
So more surprisingly to me at this point is the offensive struggles by by Pottsville, and I think that's a credit to Coach Wirt and his changing defenses because it's got Pottsville off balance.
Well, 2:53 on the clock, and this is a much different game than the first time around. Again, the way we talked about it, it's 9-5 in favor of Blue Mountain. Tom, the first meeting they had, it was 24-10 Pottsville after one quarter of play. Again, they were flying some threes up there. They were, playing lights out at the same time. So, a big difference from what you're seeing now to what you saw a couple weeks back.
Well, I think a couple things come into play here. As if you look at the schedule, Pottsville had lost their game prior to the Blue Mountain game. So they came out spit and blood, ready to play. And they were on fire as we get another turnover caused by Blue Mountain's defense right there. Mullaney not happy at this moment. Second, if you're Pottsville and your players and you win that game by 30, no matter how much Coach Mullaney says it's going to be different this time, it's human nature to just take a little bit of an extra breath and think that there's no way that these guys can beat you because of what you did to them the first time.
So just a couple baskets for Pottsville here in the early going. They trail Blue Mountain by a score of 9-5. That one's saved underneath, battling hard and scoring. Boy, a great job there by Alex Ketch, making really something out of nothing.
Well, and you can see why Ketch scores almost 17 a game right there because he was in no man's land and had to use his body control. As we look at a deep three by Barnes, and he has kept Pottsville afloat here early on.
Yeah, it goes from 11-5 to 11-8 in a hurry on the basket by Barnes. So 2 threes for Barnes. He's got 34 on the season. Down to 1:40 on the clock, opening quarter of play. Al DiCarlo alongside Tom Moser and Dave Micah. That one poked away, good job, and they could have got a foul there on a poke inside. That's Matt Salata. Salata goes right on in for the basket. His first 2, he's got 3 points. It's a 1-point game, 11-10.
Great job by Salata getting in a passing lane. Referees did not see enough contact to warrant a call, and he went coast to coast for the finish. And again, look at the pressure applied by the Tide.
Yeah, right at half court. Amazing. And it's tight. Oh, getting real loose underneath was Bryce Hensley. Coach talked about Hensley, with the opportunity of getting some minutes in there.
So let's see how Mullaney handles this at the quarter timeout. Blue Mountain taking advantage of the over-aggressiveness of the Tide's defense to go backdoor and get some easy baskets that way.
Shank drives in for his first basket of the game. He's got 3. Cuts the lead back to 1.
So for Pottsville, you're seeing their players make plays individually. Blue Mountain, they're running as we get a double dribble called by Peterson out front. I'm not sure I saw that, but he did. But they're running their offense, and everybody's involved. They're screening, cutting, and passing well. Pottsville's doing it more based on their individual ability, so we'll see which way holds out.
All that, and, after the 2-0 lead, it was all Blue Mountain for the most part as they jumped out by 6. But right now, an opportunity for Pottsville to take the lead after 1 quarter of play, after that turnover.
They're going to hold for the last. Let's see what Mulaney draws up, if it's going to be Barnes coming off a screen.
They'll start going here with 9 ticks on the clock. Barnes with the basketball down to 6. Barnes holding on to it, and now drives in and 1. Waited, assessed, and scored.
Another great individual move by Barnes. He showed it from the outside. Here we get a look at the replay. He just takes his man. Not a lot of contact right there, but he made the basket nonetheless.
9 points for Barnes in the first quarter alone, and it's 15-13 Pottsville back on top. Still some time. Trying to roll this one out. It counts if it goes, and does not. So 1 quarter of play complete from beautiful Marts Hall in Pottsville, and the Crimson Tide had the lead by a score of 15-13. Back after this with our D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
We are back here at Pottsville, and interesting when we looked at the starting lineup earlier. Kreitz, Lipko, Catch, Dean, and Carr, Shank, Barnes, DeCello, Stanton, and Salata. Those 5 have been an impact. This entire season. But your thoughts here of quarter number 1 and how it went. Almost a violation there.
Could have been a violation. So as I mentioned late in the quarter there, Blue Mountain did a great job running their offense, as Coach Wirt was hoping for, getting some backdoor cuts and setting good screens and not forcing shots despite the pressure of the Tide.
DeCello just buries a 3.
For Pottsville, it's more of their players, their talented players, making individual plays. And if you're Coach Wirt, you really can't be upset because you've played outstanding defense and done what you've done. It's just been the result of some outstanding talent on Pottsville making one-on-one plays as we get a turnover and the pressure with 2 turnovers early on here in the quarter against Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain in the first quarter, 6 of 8 shooting, 0 for 1 from behind the arc, and 1 of 2 free throws. Pottsville 5 of 7 shooting. That all came really late. 2 of 3 from behind the arc and 3 of 5 from the free throw line. Right now, Pottsville on an 8-0 run moving forward here.
So 2 for 3 in the first quarter from behind the line, both Barnes, and now DeCello hits 1 to start the second quarter.
And they're getting looks now. And that's Salata. And the timeout. 6 3-pointers. So you look out, coming out of the quarter. Now, Barnes has 21 threes and Shank has 32 threes, but Salata hits a 3. He's got now 6. DeCello hits a 3. He now has 8. So the guys that are not hitting those threes during the season are burying them now.
Here we get a look at the replay. The dribble penetration by DeCello and the kick out Salata for 3. And Coach Wirt said before the game, look, all these guys can shoot, so you know he stressed that to his team. The problem is it's all starting out front with the dribble penetration. When you're guarding your man out front, Al, you cannot get beat off the dribble as easily as his players have these first 2 possessions, because when that happens, somebody has to help, and then somebody's open on the perimeter. And Coach Wirt knew that was going to happen, and he told us they can all shoot. If they get kickouts and wide open threes, we're in trouble. So I think we might see a change of defense if Coach Wirt and the Blue Mountain Eagles go to a little bit of zone here, because we can't just be giving up open threes.
And no question about it. It was 13-10 in favor of Blue Mountain, and since then, no points have scored. They are on an 11-0 run, and after this timeout, Coach Wirt is absolutely looking forward to see if this team can, get a ball in the basket right now.
And look at the pressure being applied defensively. And it's funny. I asked if Mulaney would make a change tactic-wise or call a timeout. He's been at it long enough. His guys are veterans. He didn't need to say a word to them. They cranked it up on their own.
Long possession here, hands in their face each and every time with the basketball. And, I think, Tom, you keep talking about that. The defensive pressure that they've had is you get a split second to get a shot off the way it is right now. And with no one in foul situations, you can be tighter on your defense.
Exactly, and Coach Wirt knows that, and what's going to happen then is, as a player, you just can't help but break down at some point and take a bad shot, or you're going to wilt against the pressure, and that's why we've had some turnovers by Blue Mountain.
2 minutes into quarter number 2, 21-13 is your score in favor of Pottsville. I thank Eric Rissmiller, the fine athletic director here at Pottsville, for his hospitality. And off the rebound was Lipko. He's got 4, and that stops the run.
Great pursuit right there by Lipko, just going and finding a rebound and willing it into the basket amongst some traffic inside.
Fighting down low, and the lean in also by Shank.
And that's just an outstanding finish by Shank. Great interior defense by number 33, Aiden Carr. Did not leave his feet with the 2 fouls, and Shank found a way to put it in anyway.
Can't convert on one end. Spin move in the paint. The floater doesn't go. By Barnes. Barnes, a 1,000-point scorer. Down to 5 on the clock here in the second. Again, they collapse down low and force another turnover.
Just so well schooled defensively are the Tide. They are in the proper position at all times defensively.
You get a block underneath. I don't think Coach is happy with the call.
I think it's fair to say Coach Wirt is not happy with that call. It's number 2 on Kreitz. He thought his guard was in legal guarding position under the basket and was hoping to pick up the player control foul on Shank, but to no avail.
Makes the first free throw. So Shank's numbers come into the game: 15.7, 32 threes, 75% from the free throw line, 6.8 rebounds, 2.5, almost 3 assists a game. That's the whole package. It really is.
Yeah, on most teams, he'd be your feature in the open. He'd be your go-to guy and the guy that you're focusing your defense around. And so that just talks about how good this Pottsville team is when they have a player averaging more and with better numbers than Shank.
Up to a 10-point lead, biggest lead of the game.
And another turnover forced by Pottsville's defense. If we get a basket here by the Tide, we may see a second timeout by Coach Wirt as it's quickly getting away from them despite their great start.
The 3 is off, and they'll call a foul, so he will go to the stripe for 3, and that's Nico Heimbaugh.
Now, Ketch doesn't like that call, but he did a little playground move there, just kind of put his hand in the chest of the shooter, and the shooter fell, Reggie Miller style, or I guess some more newfound players do that too. And he bought himself 3 free throws.
I didn't get how many times Heimbaugh has been at the free throw line, but he is at 90%, so it could be, a couple.
Well, let's say he's
right around 9 of 10.
Let's say he's 9 for 10.
Okay. Figure that's what the number probably would be. Makes one, misses one. And hits 2 of 3.
No,
he does not.
Molesky all over it. Lane violation.
So lane violation, only hits 1 there. Now up by 11.
We get some full court pressure. We have not seen that yet.
(26-15). Driving through and scoring is Kreitz.
And the Eagles have made a few tough finishes inside, and that's kept them hanging around here.
Nice drive. Barnes just makes it look so easy, changing hands in midway through and putting in 2 more. He's got 11.
Yeah, good call by you, Al, right there. He drove, crossed over, and then kind of an awkward finish with the left hand off the glass going to the right, but that's a move that he's worked on in practice, skill development, and it paid off right there.
So midway through quarter number 2, and it's an 11-point game. Again, if you're just joining us here for our D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine, it was 6-2 in favor of Blue Mountain, and they were up by a score of 13-10. After that 13-10, they ran off 11 in a row, and right now they're on an 18-4 run. First one is good by Ketch. He's got 6. Had a chance to talk briefly to Coach Mullaney. 275 wins. Just done a great job with this team. Seen him in the playoffs many, many times.
Well, I will say this. Some schools have good seasons and good 2 or 3 year spurts because of players. Coach Mullaney has built a program here. He has the right culture, the right mindset, the right attitude, and you can see why. And I don't care if they have 4 senior starters or not. They will not slip next year.
Cade Henninger, the sophomore guard, that's his 20th three-pointer of the year. That one was huge.
Also very deep, but to finish my thought, very impressed with Mullaney's JVs. They put up 70 points in a JV game against in a competitive rivalry JV game. So you're scoring 70. He had a couple individuals out there who will be contributors next year on the varsity squad. There's no doubt about it.
Now they get the play open again, and they make you pay. Heimbaugh with his first 3 of the night. He's got 22 on the season after the 3. Lipko with the long 2.
Did they only give him 2 for that one, Al?
Nope, that's a 3, excuse me.
Okay, so the prior possession, you can see why Pottsville is so good. Wirt came out with a trap. They had the man buried in the corner, 2 defenders all over him, and he fires a skip pass to the opposite wing, and Heimbaugh buries the 3, and that's just demoralizing if you're Blue Mountain.
So 2:45 on the clock, and this is a big 2:45. But, when they attack the interior, they haven't missed as DeCello goes in for his 5th point of the night.
Well, they're shooting a very high percentage. When I was coaching in high school, I would always just say on the bench that they cannot continue to make the shots at this percentage because you just don't expect that from high school teams.
Now Blue Mountain will regroup here, down by 8. (33-25) is your score. 2:05 on the clock. Driving through and gets caught up in the middle and takes an extra step. And the turnover with 2 minutes on the clock.
And that's a product of the help defense by Shank and the Crimson Tide. Again, just in the proper position at all times. Well-schooled fundamentally by Mullaney and his troops.
1:47 on the clock. Pottsville trying to add to their lead. That one gets bumped off the ball and never really getting the shot he wanted. It was DeCello with 1:37. Again, the biggest lead was 11 on a couple of occasions. But if you're at Blue Mountain right now and you look at the clock at 1:30, this is huge to try to take some momentum in the locker room and cutting this lead.
Well, you certainly don't want to go in down double figures after the start you had to the game.
Well, they're making it count. Lipko with 2 threes in a matter of a minute. And that cuts the lead to 5, 33-28. We've got a game once again.
Great first half by Lipko, and you pointed out a very crucial basket right there.
Both teams, you say that you can't shoot lights out the whole game. How about both teams are perfect behind the arc right now?
I mean,
is that going to change?
It's going to change for sure. It is. Just by the law of averages and the odds, it can't stay that way. And Wirt very intelligently gets Carr out with 2 fouls for the last minute.
Inside a minute, 33-28. Tighter defense here by Blue Mountain. The next foul by Blue Mountain, however, will send him to the free throw line in the bonus. Pottsville's got 3 fouls to give. A fadeaway in the paint, no. This is a golden opportunity right now. Let's see how Coach Mullaney pays it. He does have 3 fouls to give if he doesn't give any open looks.
Well, if I'm Coach Wirt, I'm holding for the last shot if possible. Now, as you pointed out, Coach Mullaney is not going to allow that, and they're going to get up in pressure because they do, as you mentioned, have those fouls to give. But
good lane to drive in through and score in. He waited and saw it and went in. It was Lipko. Lipko on fire in this quarter.
Very impressed with Lipko, and we're a Blue Mountain stop away from a 3.1 possession game at halftime.
1 second on the clock. Do they get it off? And time winds down. That all said, it was 15-13 Pottsville after 1 quarter of play. They led by a score of 28-17 at one point. And right now it's Blue Mountain that comes all the way back and cuts the lead to 3, 33-30, as you take a look at that last play to end the half for Blue Mountain. We are at Pottsville's Marts Hall. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser, Dave Micah. We are at the half, and it's 33-30. We'll be back with more action. Our D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
Concussions are serious. 3 million sport, recreation, and auto accident-related concussions happen each year. 20% of high school athletes who play contact sports will suffer a concussion during the season. St. Luke's is the region's leader in assessing, managing, and treating concussions in athletes and non-athletes of all ages. Our multi-specialty teams of experts collaborate to care for you using the latest treatment options. Don't play head games, take concussion seriously. Call St. Luke's to schedule an appointment with one of our concussion experts. Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
Hall of Fame pitcher Steve Carlton knows what it takes to exceed expectations. He knows what it means to be part of a team that rises above the competition. He knows a champion. Steve Carlton knows St. Luke's Orthopedic Care.
We are back here, 33:30. Al DeCarlo, Tom Moser from beautiful Pottsville at Martz Hall. And, first things first, you talk about Martz Hall and the opportunity to play here. And obviously everyone's been talking this week about Kobe Bryant and his tragic death. And it's just amazing where, you think what happened with Kobe, where you never expected anything like that. You wake up, he's at church 1 minute, and next thing you know, him and his daughter are killed tragically in the helicopter accident along with 7 others. And he played here, and that he played here because you were here.
Yeah,
you weren't playing against him.
Well,
right?
Unfortunately, I did not play against
He would have
Kobe.
took you to Iraq.
Well, I think I might have blocked him once. That would have been a story. But so they played Stroudsburg here in the state quarterfinals, and Stroudsburg that year beat us 3 times. They had a 6'9" center, Ken Lacey, who was very tough inside. And they and Kobe battled here in the state quarterfinals in a close game. Lacey missed some of the action with foul trouble, but it was a close game down the stretch. Sean Thornton coaching Stroudsburg at the time and gave Lower Merion probably their closest game all season in the state playoffs anyway. But yeah, we were here in a packed gym. Not really sure who this guy was going to be, but we knew he was a stud. You're right.
Well, and you saw him a couple of nights prior also in the Lehigh Valley.
The round before, they played Scranton at Liberty Memorial Gymnasium, and obviously at the time, Al, there's no social media, there's no internet, there's no cell phones, so somehow we got word of mouth that there was going to be this young phenom playing at Liberty High School, and we made the drive down from Nazareth, a few teammates and myself, and we see this guy out there shooting about 35-foot three-pointers in warm-ups and nailing about 8 out of 10, and we're like, oh my goodness, this guy's unbelievable. So.
And if it was this day and age, all those cell phones would be out, and you would have that opportunity to see all that.
Absolutely.
A big difference, as he battled here, and I know he would, he's a tremendous player. My kids have been watching more and more. Just the type of player he is. All those stories that are out there has been tremendous.
Well, whether you liked him as a player and rooted for him or not, not being a Laker fan, I didn't root for him, but you had to, as a basketball person, respect not only his talent, but as you've heard all week now, his work ethic is what really set him apart and made him the dominant top 5 or 10 player of all time that he was.
No question. Let's take a look at the standings here in the Schuylkill, because they're huge. Because there you look at it right now. You're looking at Pottsville, they're 11-0. Blue Mountain sitting there with Tamaqua at 8-3. However, there's a big difference there. Blue Mountain's sitting there, but this game is needed because of the schedule that Tamaqua has versus what Blue Mountain has here to end things out.
So basically, if Blue Mountain would lose this game, they will need Tamaqua to lose a game down the stretch in order to get the wild card. Otherwise, they will miss the league playoffs for the first time in a while. It's only a 4-team playoff here in the Schuylkill League, and Pottsville will be the odds-on favorite. With Blue Mountain in the field, they certainly, as you're seeing tonight, could give Pottsville a game.
Yeah, Schuylkill Haven at 9-1 and Marion at 8-2. Both of those battling with, Williams Valley and Nativity here in Division 2 and 3. The playoffs, by the way, in the Schuylkill League will get underway on Tuesday, and it'll be girls action here at Martz Hall. And then on Wednesday, they will go with the boys action, and then on Friday, they'll have a double dip. The girls at 6. This is Friday the 14th, the Valentine's Day, the 6th, and the boys championship is set for 7:30 in the Schuylkill League. At the same time, while you're looking at the Schuylkill League standings, we talk about the District 11 5A standings. Pottsville right now is 15-4, Southern Lehigh at 16-3, and Blue Mountain at 15-4. Those three really neck and neck. And if you're Southern Lehigh or if you're Pottsville, you'll want to kind of clinch that spot so you don't see them until the championship.
Absolutely crucial. And those two are very tight in points right now, Southern Lehigh and Pottsville. And obviously you'd rather have the 1 seed than the 2 seed, but very important because you do not want to play this Blue Mountain team in the semifinals, because with only 2 teams going to states in that 5A class, if you lose in the semifinals, your season is over, and you certainly do not want that.
And Bangor looking like they're going to get in the mix. They're at 10-9, needing that other win to get themselves in. But for the most part, Pottsville, Southern Lehigh, Blue Mountain, year after year after year, we've seen those battles throughout. And, we expect some good matchups, coming up as well. We'll take a break here and get ready for quarter number 3. And right now it's 33-30 in favor of Pottsville. We'll be back with more action from Martz Hall. You're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
Concussions are serious. 3 million sport, recreation, and auto accident-related concussions happen each year. 20% of high school athletes who play contact sports will suffer a concussion during the season. St. Luke's is the region's leader in assessing, managing, and treating concussions in athletes and non-athletes of all ages. Our multi-specialty teams of experts collaborate to care for you using the latest treatment options. Don't play head games, take concussions seriously. Call St. Luke's to schedule an appointment with one of our concussion experts.
Well, they had the youngsters out there to an extended halftime. Take you through the scoring in this one. Shank with 7-5 for Heimbach, 11 points for Barnes, but he was held to just 2 in that second quarter. DeCello with 5 and 6 points for Salata. For Kreitz, he finished with 4 in the first half, 3 for Henninger, 10 points for Lipko. Lipko was on fire, scoring 8 of his 10 in the second quarter. 7 points for Ketch, 3 points for Dean, and 2 points for Hensley. Shooting as a team, both of them. How about Pottsville? 11 of 14 from the field. And Blue Mountain, 12 of 15 for the field. You kind of see that score up there the way it is. 5 of 7 from behind the arc for Pottsville, 3 of 4 for Blue Mountain. 5 of 7 at the free throw line for Pottsville, and Blue Mountain 3 for 3. Dave Micah's numbers here at the half. Those numbers are sensational. And you see those. Something's got to give in the second half. But right now, if you're Blue Mountain, you were down by 11 after being up, and you didn't crawl or anything like that and say, we're out of this, that's it, here they go again. You came right back and battled. How important was that, especially to cut the lead to 3, where now you got a half to play to win this game?
Yeah, absolutely. Very strange half as Blue Mountain came out charged up and ready to go early on. Pottsville dominated the middle section of the first half, and then Blue Mountain closed strong. It's incredible to think that both teams shot 75-80% in that half and over 80% from the three-point line, because the defense by both of these teams and coaches is just outstanding, and it's just been a half of making shots. So you always say that basketball is a game of making shots, and as you said, we will see if these teams can continue to make shots here in the second half.
Well, championship-wise in the Schuylkill League, Pottsville's won the last 2, Blue Mountain before that, and then Pottsville two before that. So, they've been in the mix, and you go way back, I love their page that they have, and Dave Mulaney and Pottsville does a great job. But, championship after championship throughout, they are, the staple when it comes to, the Schuylkill League. But this is a great matchup. We expect a great matchup, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, the first half was just very well played. Both teams, players making plays, coaches making adjustments, and that's what you want to see, back and forth on the seesaw. And I really hope we get a second half like we had the first half.
So it's 33-30 as we start. Pottsville on top.
Little trap right out of the gate by Wirt.
A good way to start if you're Pottsville, to the window and 1 for Barnes.
So the problem with trapping Pottsville is that when you have individuals on the floor like Barnes who can basically dribble right through or around, in that instance, a double team, it's going to put a crimp in your plans.
So Barnes misses. He's got 13 in the game. As we start the third quarter. And a whistle and a foul. They'll get DeCello.
DeCello does not agree. You ever see players agree?
No. Did you ever agree?
That was a quick. Oh, yeah, I would admit when I fouled some. Not all the time.
There you go. There's the answer.
It was all ball.
It's always all ball. Never any contact. Jason Dean averages 7.6 a game. That's his 4th. He hit that 3 points in the first half. 56% free throw shooter, but he makes both, so he's now made 3 of 4. 35-32.
Back to a hybrid 1-1-3 here. At least a third or fourth different defense that Wirt has tried.
Pottsville up by 3, attempting a 3. That one missing, but right there for the rebound. Barnes can't connect. And an opportunity here to cut into that lead or even tie. Good movement of the basketball. Now the kick out. Thought about it for a moment. Now in traffic, that one taken right away. Good job defensively by Shank.
And so that's why you front the post, because you're going to get backside help. And the ball hangs in the air too long, and Shank just comes over and rips it right out.
Shank had the rebound, then had a three-point shot that was well off the mark. Here's it from the crowd a little bit.
Well, sometimes you feel a little froggy after you make a play at one end and you feel like you deserve it. So he got it out of his system. We do have 2 nice student sections here tonight, Al.
Yeah, no question. Like how they travel, like how they're here, and nothing better when you get a student body involved. Right through an open lane, and the basket by Ketch.
A rare breakdown by a Mulaney defense right there, as the defender had his back completely turned on the help position, and Ketch went right through it. But
Barnes with the bucket. So add 2 more for Barnes to make it 37-34. Thought about it, now with the kick out. A nice feed underneath. And 2 more for Barnes. He's got 6 in the quarter, 17 for the game.
So he does it all right there, just moving without the ball. His defender turned his head for a split second, and he cut to the basket, and his teammate found him. Just great basketball smarts.
But Ketch continuing to do it in the interior.
Nice shot fake to get himself free. And these teams are just answering each other. It's like a prize fight, Al. It's like Thomas Hitman Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, there we go. What about Hagler? Where was he in the mix?
Well, Hagler was ringside watching.
All right.
Or should we say like Julio Cesar Chavez and
all right. Now you got
Oscar
names.
De La Hoya.
All right, you got names. Moser DiCarlo.
That's next week.
39-36. How about DiCarlo Micah? That would be a good show. That would be wrestling, though. That would put him in a figure 4 leg lock, and he would have no mercy on him. 39-36, 3 minutes in to the second half. 15-footer, that one's short. Well, let's get that shot back. Thought he got tagged or the foul, nothing called. Again from downtown, popping it home is Barnes, and they have to do something to stop him because he is lights out here in this quarter. Well, a one-man show.
That's going to leave Coach Wirt shaking his head because Barnes just dribbled up without any resistance, and nobody ever picked him up. He's the best player on the floor. We need some help.
Well, there's help. How about help down underneath a different way on the basket and one by Dean?
I mean, you're seeing some great basketball right now, one end to the other, both teams making plays.
So Dean goes to the free throw line. He's got 4 in the quarter, 7 for the game. And converts on the three-point play and cuts the lead again back to 3.
You mentioned it in the open. This is virtually a playoff game for Coach Wirt and the Eagles, and they are certainly playing like it. If this was an effort against any other team on their schedule, they would have a comfortable lead right now.
11 points in the quarter, 22 for the game for Barnes. Unstoppable here in the third.
But you're to steal a line from Brent Musburger, Al, you're watching what greatness is all about here from Mason Barnes with just move after move.
Wow. So Barnes came and hit the first shot of the third quarter. From there, has just found his groove. That was a huge concern for Coach Wirt when we talked to him. We said, who concerns you? Because they got, great players all around. But, you look at Shag, he gives you one thing. Barnes, if you leave him alone, he can tear you up. This is where he's tearing you up right here.
So he has 11 in this quarter, correct?
Correct.
We are 4 minutes into an 8-minute quarter, so he is pacing 22 for the quarter.
First missed free throw there for Lipko, and it's 44-40. From way outside, that one will not drop, ball loose, goes off of, I thought it went off Pottsville.
I'm with you, but Mike Peterson had a better angle than we did.
Midway through, quarter number 3. And that one thrown away.
Tried to run a set for Barnes there out of bounds to get the hot man the shot, and it was just pretty well defended by Blue Mountain, and we have a turnover.
(44-40). Blue Mountain trying to get their rhythm going here on offense.
Well, and this is one of those in-between sets here. Coach Wirt said they would take advantage when they could of running, but otherwise they were going to have to be patient because Pottsville is just so sound in the half court defensively, and that's what you're seeing right now.
Clear traffic, 1-on-3, and the lay-in.
Catch.
And catch.
I have to use it, Al. It's no catch 22.
Makes it 40 for Blue Mountain, down by as many as 11 in the first half on 2 occasions. Now with 2:43 on the clock. Feed in the lane. I have to give that one up. It does. And that one knocked away. And they get it right back. And a whistle and a foul. And I believe they got a foul on Heimbaugh.
Blue Mountain got bailed out there. They had a little bit of some overpassing, guys hesitant to shoot, and they got fortunate that Dean kept that ball alive and recovered possession. We get some subs as we have some gassed players out there, just up and down action here the first 5.5 minutes of this third quarter.
Hang up there for a while.
Ketch needed to go up there after he heard the whistle. He was in midair. If he releases that shot, it's probably a 2-shot foul. Instead, he dished it off trying to make the unselfish play, and it's going to result as a ball underneath.
So 44-42, Pottsville up by 2. Blue Mountain with the basketball with 2:29 on the clock. They try to force one in, and they force a turnover. And the outlet pass in transition counted for 2 for Riley Stanton, his first 2 of the night.
And the assist by Barnes, he's been on fire. He could have very easily pushed that himself on a 2-on-1 and scored. Instead, he found the open man for the deuce.
And if you're Blue Mountain, as you're battling back, those turnovers are costly. They're huge, and they lose another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're turning it over, you are not getting a shot off, and that's 2 in a row now. They had a chance to take the lead with a made 3, and instead they're down 4, and Pottsville knocks a shot in here, and it's going to be a 6 or 7 point game just like that.
Inside 2 minutes, 46-42. They cut the lead to 2. Now driving baseline. Oh, great job from behind. Yeah, I say a great job from behind, had it where we want him, and then tried a little bit too much after that.
Exactly. The initial idea was correct, and then just a little exuberant trying to hack, and you're not going to get away with it from behind very often. But Dean was a little gassed, and so he's going to take a seat, as you see him right there. He's played his tail off in this third quarter.
46-42. Spin move in the paint, hand in his face. That one gets knocked away. 2 players get knocked down for Blue Mountain, and they'll come out of the shuffle. I think the hardest hit went to Ryan Caulfield. And right now, Blue Mountain has come down the court 4 different times since the 4:36 mark. Their last basket was just in between there, and they have missed on 2 occasions. And they'll call an offensive foul here. Instead of an N1, you get the charge.
Coach Wirt really displeased with that one. That was a, let's just say, as we get a look at the replay, the kick out, the +1. That's a close call. Hardest call in basketball is a block charge. Could have gone either way. It's just a double killer when it's an and one, and it's a 4-point swing going the other way.
Now, they don't get the 3 here. That would have been a huge dagger. Again, Blue Mountain itching inside a minute to get a basket. They'll send this one through. 2 guys on him on the 3. And then a whistle and a foul. That was away from the ball, correct?
It was away from the ball. Mike Peterson saw some contact under the basket on the rebound, maybe a little displacement. Catch has been feeling it, but his strength is his shooting, and he has not gotten any open looks because Mulaney knows we can't give Catch any open looks. So he kind of forced that one. He hasn't really done it all night, so you can forgive him for doing it, but that resulted in the off-ball foul right there by Blue Mountain.
Well, in a game of this magnitude where we've seen the ball being at 3 for a while, I was going to say this is a huge possession with 37 seconds. And a nice feed down underneath, and they're going to make him earn it. Boy, that was a hard foul. And I'll send Ryan Caulfield, who just got hit earlier down here, so he's taking, a beating down there for Blue Mountain.
Well, it's possible that Caulfield plays football, and this is a rivalry in all sports. As we get a look at the replay here, Caulfield did a great job running the floor, gets drilled by DeCello, and he'll have to earn those too. No shortage of football players or athletes on these two teams if you look at the physicality out there.
No question. 11 of 25 shooting, only 44% on the season for Caulfield. But what I was saying is you're down by 4. You don't score here, and next thing you know, there's a 3 on the other end or whatever. You're down by 7 going to the 4th, where you could be, within 1. They've had 3, 4, 5 chances, and they have not converted, and they have really gone south from the field.
Well, they've left a lot of points on the board late here in the third quarter, and we had a feeling that those shooting percentage numbers would drop off. Fortunately for Wirt, one positive sign is they will start the fourth quarter with the ball, so regardless, he's going to need to draw something up. His guys refresh at the quarter break, but they could really use a stop right now.
Caulfield 0 for 3 from the line. This one from way outside for Barnes, doesn't go, and time expires. 3 complete, 1 to go. We've got a good one, however. It's 46-42 in favor of Pottsville. Back with more action. You're watching our D11sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
Well, 3 in the books as we welcome you back here to beautiful Martz Hall. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser, Dave Micah, and Tom, your thoughts through 3 quarters.
Well, the first 4 minutes was like an NBA game. Buckets made on both ends. Still good defense with the rare breakdown thrown in there, but you knew that the legs are going to go at some point and we're going to get some misses, and that's what we had the last 4 minutes. As you mentioned, Blue Mountain, multiple opportunities to inch back into it, but as we get started here in the fourth, let's see what Coach Wirt drew up out of the timeout.
So we start the fourth quarter with Pottsville up by 4. However, possession here starts with Blue Mountain, who's went the last 3 minutes and 45 seconds or so without a basket. Driving through in traffic, can't get the roll, gets his own rebound, and will go to the free throw line. Good job of never giving up for Keaton Kreitz.
Yeah, Kreitz stuck with it right there. In amongst the trees as a 6'1" guard, dug out a rebound, and he's going to try and earn some points from the stripe. One thing to also point out as he knocks the first one in is Lipko was incredible in the first half. He was silent in the third quarter, so that's probably an adjustment that Mulaney made at halftime. So let's see if Lipko can get going here again in the fourth.
So Kreitz now has 6. You mentioned Lipko. Lipko and Ketch both have 13 to lead the way, and Barnes leading the way with 22. 46-44. Anyone's game right now. Again, they're in the same category when it comes to districts, so they can meet 3 or 4 times. Barnes at it again. At it again is Barnes, a 1,000-point scorer, starts the 4th with his 4th three-pointer of the night.
So you're really in a quandary if you're Coach Wirt, because you've proven that very difficult to guard Pottsville man-to-man. But when you're playing a zone, you're going to leave guys open in the right spot if the team moves the ball properly, which Pottsville does, and it's resulting in open shots for Barnes, and he's just not missing.
A good look at a 3. That one, however, is short. Once and done, no one there for the board. Here comes Pottsville looking to extend their 5-point lead, up 49-44. Try to go for the steal on Barnes, and they say that goes off of Barnes. Coach Delaney not pleased.
So Jason Dean deserves a ton of credit. He looks like he might be playing out of position, handling the ball against this incredible Pottsville pressure for most of the game, defending Mason Barnes when they play man-to-man. Just tons of credit in this one to Dean.
2 minutes into the 4th. 49-44. Again, the first meeting was back on January the 6th, and it was 74-44 in favor of Pottsville. The 3, that one rims out, will not fall for Ketch.
Looked good on the release, just rims out.
One of the better looks for Ketch, but couldn't convert. Look at where Barnes is shooting from. How do you stop that, Tom Moser?
Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to call timeout, as Coach Wirt does. But a cardinal sin defensively right there, as I just praised Jason Dean. He's guarding Mason Barnes. You know he's a shooter. You know he's a scorer. And you just face him up, and you don't put a hand up in the face. And Barnes has free reign to just let one go. You got to get a hand up and at least bother him. Get a hand in his shot pocket and his shot vision right there. Secondly, as we get a look at the replay here, watch Barnes pop free. Dean, no hand up. What do they say in the NBA, Al? Hand down, man down, right?
Yeah, and right now, back up to that 8-point lead.
One other option that Coach Wirt has is you're just going to have to start running a second guy at Mason Barnes when he has the ball, make him pass it, and then just deny it back to him, because he's making plays anytime he touches it.
52-44 with 5:20 on the clock, and Barnes has added to his total, so he's got 28 points on the night.
28.
We still have 5:20 on the clock.
I mean, he's looking in upwards of the mid-30s here. If it's a close game in the last couple minutes, I would assume the ball's going to be in his hand to shoot free throws as the students finally start going back and forth with some chance.
So, Tom, we go in with 5:20 on the clock. You get the timeout. You come back out. You know, from 5:20 to, 2.5, we're going to see a lot happening here, which way this game's going. And right now, not the shot you really wanted to. There's a player down for Pottsville. And that is Mike Sakina.
So the first thing that Coach Wirt needed to do in the timeout was just get his guys composed and settle down. There's plenty of game left. They're on a little bit of a run. Basketball's a game of runs. We're going to make the next couple shots. Did not get the look out of the timeout that he was hoping for. He also wanted to contact and a foul. Did not get it from the officials. But players need to understand that there's a lot of game left. You can inch back in the way we've done 2 or 3 times already today, and it's not time to panic. So things will come together. We just need to rebound and make every possession count. Sakina off on his own power, which is a good sign, always a good sign. And now some full court pressure by Wirt and the Blue Mountain Eagles.
52-44. So 4:49 on the clock.
Physicality right there, and Pottsville to take it out underneath. Back to man for Coach Wirt.
In the lane, driving through. Man, this one will be on Barnes.
So that's a high school charge right there. If we were in a college game, I think we would have had that dotted line in the center of the paint, and he would have been beneath it, and it would have been a block. But great job by the Eagles right there, stepping in and taking a charge. Mulaney doesn't agree.
First meeting they had, 24-10 after one, 28-19 at the break, and then Pottsville outscored Blue Mountain 22-11 in the third quarter. We saw that here in the third as well, that they started getting, themselves a lead, but it was, this is a much, much different game, a game that you kind of expect between these two teams as we head in here with the final 4:42 left.
Well, absolutely. These Blue Mountain players know that, as we've talked about a few times already, this is virtually a playoff game. They can get some help if Tamako gets knocked off, but they control their own destiny. They win tonight, and their next two games are going to be in the playoffs. So their players have that sense of urgency tonight. You could see it right from the start. What a finish inside by Dean.
Wow. Jason Dean, the senior forward, playing well, cuts the lead back to 6.
And these seniors for Blue Mountain do not want to miss the Schuylkill League playoffs.
Not at all. Staple, really, when it comes to the playoffs for Blue Mountain in the Schuylkill League. So midway through the fourth, a 6-point game. Largest lead was 11, I believe, on 2 occasions.
So against the zone, this possession of Wirt, Pottsville showing extra patience.
Foul-wise, if you're wondering, 5 right now for Blue Mountain and 8 for Pottsville.
Of more pressing concern for Blue Mountain is if they're going to continue, a bailout foul right there by Mr. Sanunis because Pottsville had a free run to the basket.
That's a 4th foul, however, on Aiden Carr.
Well, Blue Mountain also has 6 players on the floor. This should be a technical foul, a rare mistake here by Coach Wirt. Let's see what the officials do. There are 6 men on the floor. Should be a technical. I know they don't like to do it. Mulaney says this is not up for debate. It's a technical. What do you think happens here, DeCarlo?
Well, let me see what they're going to do. I'll let you know.
No. We need an immediate response.
I think it has to be a technical.
Yes, and it is. That's why the rule's in place, and as much as Coach Wirt does not like it, you have to call it.
So the technical comes with 3:34 on the clock, and Barnes was an 80% free throw shooter.
Now, I think what Coach Wirt's argument is going to be is that the player, the young man that subbed in, ran on the floor, and the officials handed the Pottsville player the ball before his player was allowed off the floor. Unfortunately, that argument not sure it holds water because all 6 defenders were lined up in the paint ready to play defense.
And you can't play 6-on-5, right?
I mean, in some areas, at the YMCA you can. We're going to get a timeout here by Mulaney, and he's going to put it in the freezer if Blue Mountain plays zone, so we might see some man-to-man out of work.
So Barnes hits the 2 free throws, which were big, and increases the lead back to 8. Glad you could join us here on D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser, Dave Micah. And we'll be right back at it tomorrow afternoon, a 1 and 3 o'clock game at Deerhoff High School between Allen and Deerhoff. Allen having a tremendous year. Deerhoff fighting for their life, need to win 3 in a row to get into the postseason. When you have that rivalry game, it should be pretty impressive. We get the girls' game first. Both teams struggling on the girls' side. However, we hope to get the best of them too tomorrow afternoon as well.
As you mentioned, rivalry, one of the oldest rivalries in this part of Pennsylvania, Allen and Deerhoff, going back over 50 years. Anything can happen, as you mentioned. Girls teams not quite having the seasons they hoped for, but we expect and hope for a competitive game, and we know the boys game will be outstanding.
54-46. Huge possession here, both offensively and defensively. Again, you covet or you look at that 230 mark as a, kind of a, I say a platform, but a part on the court where, when you're in a 6-8 point range, that's the time where you can make a run.
Yeah, for sure. If you're in a 6-point game, 1-3 makes it a one-possession game. On the flip side of the coin, it's sitting at 8 right now. If Pottsville gets a basket right here, it's up to double figures, and psychologically, you just take that hit to the psyche if you're Blue Mountain. So let's see as Wirt comes out man-to-man if Pottsville decides nothing but a layup, or are they going to play aggressively?
Well, they'll kick it back out. Nothing was there in the interior. Trying to milk some clock, as you mentioned. That's the decision on when do you foul. Actually, that ball.
Good call right there as the defender's foot was on the baseline.
Yeah, that was Jason Dean. He actually made a good play, but he was out of bounds.
Tried to sneak it by the official.
Inside 3. Nice feed underneath, and Barnes can't hit the putt. He had a wide open look, got too far underneath. That's one of very few shots that he has missed tonight.
Maybe the first mistake Barnes has made, and it was the easiest shot of the night for him. He just tried to catch himself instead of reversing, going up on the left side. And now Blue Mountain with an opportunity here.
Here's your at the 2:30 mark. There's a shot, and there's the 3.
And a quick timeout by Wirt.
Lipko buries the 3. And I tell you, that always happens. That 2:30 mark really is part of a huge game.
You were all over that. Good call. And now we're going to see what Pottsville's made of. If you look at their schedule and their roster of wins, as we get a look at the replay, good motion set. Lipko pops free, and Shank just a little late coming out to cover, and a big shot made by Lipko, who had an outstanding first half. As I was saying, most of their wins have not been of the competitive variety. So how are they going to handle a close game here down the stretch? Blue Mountain's not going to hand this one to you. You're going to have to earn it.
Absolutely. So 2:26 on the clock. It's 54-49.
And some full court pressure.
Down to 2:17. And they're in the bonus. Foul gets them to the free throw line. Last person you want to foul is Barnes. And then you got to pick your poison on if you're going to foul and when. Feet underneath. I'm going to count that and 1.
And that's the last thing that you can do is two things. Foul on a shot and allow the young man to get the made basket and the foul. It's just a double whammy. But there's really nothing you can do. Barnes is just a man among boys tonight.
33 points for Barnes tonight. Inside 2 minutes, 57-49. This one's slowly getting away. Down by 8. Still plenty of time, however.
Yeah, Ketch forced that one a little bit. It may have been off of him, but he probably also got hit a little bit, and I think that's one of those where the official will give you the ball because he doesn't want to call the foul. And unfortunately for Blue Mountain, that didn't happen, and that's the discussion going on right there at half court between Ketch and Mr. Peterson.
So Barnes back to the free throw line. And connects. What a night. 35.
Just very impressed with that young man.
Back up to a double-digit lead, 59-49. Go time for Blue Mountain if they have a chance, and that one blocked. And underneath,
You want to know why Pottsville is one of the best teams in the state in the 5A class in District 11 and PIAA every year. It's because of their defensive intensity and their mindset. Right there, Blue Mountain comes up the floor in a state of needing to go, and they're being hounded all over the floor to make every pass and dribble difficult, because that's the way that Pottsville plays. Doesn't matter if they're up by 4, 40, how much time is left. That's the way they play.
Yeah, Kreitz makes both free throws. Those are needed with 1:33 on the clock.
Yeah, they're going to need some mistakes here by Pottsville, and Pottsville is just so well schooled and disciplined by Mulaney on both ends of the floor, handling the ball, handling pressure. Be very surprised if we see more than one mistake.
Feed up, 1-on-2. The nice dish. Well, I was going to say nice dish. They lost it, but Barnes comes out of the pile with it. And they have really no choice but to foul him.
I wouldn't give it up if I was Barnes, would you?
No. No, you're having a huge night. And you go to the free throw line to try to add to the lead here as well and put it back to a double-digit lead.
He might be up to 40 before all is said and done.
It is possible. I believe he's perfect from the free throw line tonight. May have missed one. So 2 more. He's got 37. (61-51).
Not what you want to do if you're Pottsville. Foul to stop the clock, as Mulaney's telling his young men out on the floor right now. But an exasperated look by Mulaney with the hands to the head. Why are we doing this? The things that us coaches have to deal with. How could we foul and stop the clock?
Missed a free throw. And that may wrap it up right there on the basket by Salata. So down to a minute on the clock, back up to the biggest lead of the game, 11. This would be big. Can't convert, ball loose underneath. Blue Mountain not giving up, and then a whistle and a foul.
So it looks like Blue Mountain's going to come out a little bit on the short end tonight, and got to be a little disappointed if you're Coach Wirt in the result, not in your effort. You played a really, really good basketball game, and if you're playing this against any other team on your schedule, you're likely to come away with a win. You just happen to be playing one of the best teams in your classification statewide tonight, and they played well too. So they didn't play poorly, and Pottsville got away with one. Both teams played well, and Pottsville's just a little bit better at this point, and I think Coach Wirt can accept that, and he's going to go back to the drawing board and hope he gets some help, and Tamaqua takes a loss down the stretch here, and he can sneak into the Schuylkill League playoffs.
Yeah, no question about it. Barnes is having the lights out here in the free throw line. He's got 39. You mentioned the 40s.
Well, we may not see another foul, but there's Barnes on a steal, so here he's going to get it.
So Barnes will go to the free throw line with an opportunity to hit 40. You were talking about Kobe earlier. What did he hit in this gym?
I don't know what Kobe had in that game against Stroudsburg. I did see another future pro, albeit not quite the career that Kobe had. Jerry McNamara played here in a state playoff game in his senior year against Trinity High School when he was at Bishop Hannon. He went for 42 in the first half and 55 for the game. Probably about 8-9 threes in the first half. It was unbelievable. We saw a technical foul out there, so Barnes is going to get some more freebies at the line. Not the way you want to see this one end. If you're Blue Mountain, you've really competed hard and gave a great account of yourself and your team tonight. You understand the frustration.
So 40 for Barnes. What a night. Just has been explosive on that free throw line.
I mean, he is going to be close to outscoring Blue Mountain soon, and Blue Mountain has played good basketball tonight offensively. Pottsville does not allow 50 very often, and Blue Mountain put 50 on him tonight.
42 points for Mason Barnes. What a night. Wow. And he's still coming. Make it 43.
he deserves a curtain call, and there it is for Mulaney. For the remaining fans, we had a great crowd here tonight, many of them filing out to beat the traffic onto Route 61, but Schenk and Barnes take a seat. So Barnes and I combined for 43 tonight, Al.
So this one gets away from Blue Mountain in a big victory and improves them to 12-0 as they get ready for the tournament.
Yeah, as they say sometimes in our higher levels of basketball here, this one much closer than the score will indicate, as this one is upwards of a 17-point final if we see no more fouls or whistles. But this was a 2 or 4 point game for much of the way, so nowhere near indicative of the double-figure result that we're going to see.
14 free throws on the night for Mason Barnes. And the final 22 seconds of this one. Down to 14 ticks on the clock. No reason to foul at this point. And now if you're Blue Mountain, you're just going to try to win out and hope that Tamaqua will fall somewhere here in the last 3, or they'll be the odd team out. Final score in this one, Pottsville wins it by a score of 69-52 is your final. They end up winning by 17 points, which is amazing when it was a 3-point game throughout the entire time, going through. So, they fall here, and Barnes with an unbelievable night. He scores 43 points. We'll take a break, come back. Right after this, you're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
We are back here at Pottsville. And Dave Mike is down with head coach Dave Mulaney. Dave?
Hey, Coach, it's Dave Micah from D11 Sports. Thoughts of the game?
I was a little disappointed with us in the first half with our sense of urgency, with a lot of things, to be honest with you. But it's a rivalry game. Sometimes they're ugly, and, glad to come out with a win.
Talk about Mason Barnes. What an effort. 43 points scored tonight. Talk about that.
He had 43 points. Honestly, I didn't realize that. I knew he had a big game. He's a great player. He bailed us out. We weren't really running our offense very well. He just bailed us out all night. But great kid, been great for us for 4 years.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
So Barnes goes for 43. We'll take you through the scoring here. Kreitz with 8, 3 for Henninger, 16 for Lipko, 13 for Ketch, 11 points for Dean, and 2 points for Hensley. For Pottsville, 7 points for Schenk. Heimbaugh has 5, 43, and I lost space on my page for Mason Barnes. And again, he had the 14 free throws at the same time. DeCello finishes with 5 points, 2 points for Stanton, and 8 points for Salata, the starting 5, for them. Overall thoughts of what you saw tonight?
Well, we've talked ad nauseum about Barnes. I was also impressed with some of the other players for Pottsville and Coach Mulaney. They didn't really need a lot from some of the other players tonight, but you see the effort and talent and potential is there by some of the guards, Heimbaugh and DeCello, and Sukina off the bench for that matter, and Salata made some plays. So when Barnes is not going for 40, you have those other supporting players that can make shots for you.
And Dave Micah is down with our player of the game in Mason Barnes. Dave, go ahead.
Here, Mason. Your D11 Sports player of the game. Thoughts of the game?
It was a hard-fought game the whole way, and I was hitting my shots. They were making plays for me. I just shot the ball when I was open, and it went in tonight.
I know it's a rivalry game. You guys played great defense. Talk about the second half because you were lights out.
Well, going up by 3 at halftime, coach was a little mad at us, so someone had to step up, and that's it pretty much. I just wanted to take control of the game, shoot the ball a little more, and I wanted to go out playing against Blue Mountain the last time with a bang.
Thank you. You're the District 11 St. Luke's Player of the Game. Congratulations.
All right, Dave, great job. Good job to Mason Barnes. Again, 43 points. You don't usually see that, on any given night. And, we get right back in the action again tomorrow with a double dip at Deerfield High School. Allen and Deerfield, we expect a good matchup between those two. But, what can we expect from these teams? Not, so much in just the league playoffs, but overall, because they're going to meet again at some point, you would think, when you get into the district playoffs, if possible.
Well, one thing that Mulaney said is something that I had pointed out in the first half. He said that his team was not really running their offense, and his guys were bailing them out, making plays. And that's great, but it's even better when you can win multiple ways. You can win running your offense, or you can win with your studs bailing you out. So, and they played great defense tonight. Blue Mountain was making shots, so I'm really impressed with Pottsville. For Blue Mountain, the key for them is going to be not to get too low. If Tamaqua wins out and Blue Mountain does not make the Schuylkill League playoffs, they just need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and get ready for district play, because they can win that semifinal game. It's not going to be easy because Southern Lehigh's had a great year. That will be a great semifinal, and they want one more chance at this Pottsville team. There's no doubt about it.
No question. I want to thank Eric Rissmiller, again, the athletic director, for having us here at Martz Hall. Always a great scene to watch it, and we saw a great game as well. Again, the score not indicative of how this game was played. Again, the first time they met, 74-44 here, 69-52, but it was tight throughout. 15-13 after 1, 33-30 at the half, 46-42 after 3, and then they ran away with it at the end. But the big story was Barnes finishing with the 43 points, had 14 free throws as well. That'll do it for us for tonight. For Dave Micah down the floor, we'll be back at it tomorrow with Allen and Deer on the doubleheader. For Ari Bluestein and Josh Bellman and the SFBN staff, to getting us on the air once again. For Tommy Moser, I'm Al DeCole saying so long, and congratulations to Pottsville as they now improve to 12-0 and 16-4 in the season. Blue Mountain with a loss drops to 8-4 and 15-5 overall. More action coming your way down the road. As Al DeCarlo, you've been watching the D11sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Good night.